Nice to be with you all, and thanks for being here. And excited to speak with everyone. Yes, they the choreographers I met through my creative director Nathan Kim. I started working the creative director recently. Nathan's amazing. He's worked with other artists as well. I was familiar with his work that he did with Charlie XCX. And so he said, "Hey, like if you could trust me on the direction with this music video, because I was thinking it dancing would be fun." He's like, "I would like to take it a different approach and introduce you to these two choreographers, Jordan and Aiden. They're known as JA Collective, and they had worked with this other band called Half Alive and other artists as well. And it was more quirky, like interpretive dancing, but with its own unique, quirky personality to it. And so they agreed to be a part of Creme Brulee, and I was so happy. Jordan and Aiden are amazing. I just uploaded a TikTok. We did like a TikTok dance version of Creme Brulee that I put on just not too long ago today. And so shout out to them. And Nathan, he was like, we've been talking about showing David as queer. Like, you don't have to, when you come out of the closet, it doesn't always have to be so in your face. Some people can do it great. They can kill it. They're in your face. That's how they are. That's not always my style. So it's like, how do we show David comfortable in his body, confident in who he is, sensual, but like, I don't have to like demand the attention. Like, how do we have fun with it? Do something, but still kind of chill and like laid back. And so I feel like we found a great combination of all those elements where it feels chill. It's not, what we're wearing isn't too colorful, but in the video, a lot of the lighting, even towards the end, it turns into rainbows. But it's like a progress. It's like a journey, and it shows like we're just chill. We're vibing. We're dressed up in like neutral colors, but there's like definitely a queer vibe there. And I feel like it represents, I think a lot of times it's easy up until even recently, like Chaperone has shown some great like girl lesbian representation, but usually it's dominated by just gay men. So it was like how, and there's like a certain aesthetic with the gay man look. So we wanted to play with a little bit more of like a gender fluid, sexuality fluid take on queerness and pop. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. And Nathan was brilliant with how he directed everything. And yes, I feel I've always been in touch with my Latin roots, but there wasn't really space for it before. Like I had tried to do, I recorded a Spanish version of Crush when I was a teenager, and the record label, for whatever reason, didn't want to release. They're just like, you as a Spanish artist are not going to sell. We're not going to put our money into that. But I still would be a part of, I was a part of the Spanish We Are the World back then, Somos el Mundo, and had performed like at Selena Quintanilla tributes and would sing her songs in my shows, like Como la Flor. But this was the first time I really did a pop song in my career, singing in Spanish. And I'm hoping to implement more of that into my music. Spanglish, because I don't only speak Spanish, but a lot of my friends, a lot of my relationships, a lot of my family is all Latin roots, Hispanic, Spanish speaking. And I wanted to show, since I'm showing more of myself, might as well show the Latin side of me too. And I feel like I feel sexier when I speak in Spanish. And when I get in touch with the Latin side, there's that Latin flame that comes on. So it's been a great way for me to get more comfortable in my own sensuality. And yeah, so I'm hoping for a little bit more of that here and there in my music. Yeah, Creme Brulee was made because I was finally getting comfortable with being flirty and kind of getting into naughty situations and enjoying the attention I was getting. So it's kind of like a coming of age song for me is how it felt, even though I'm in my 30s. But like it was like it really was like my version of my coming of age. Being flirty, being a little more sexy, being a little more naughty, and there are innuendos in the song, and but it's still chill, it's still laid back. It's not, the point was not to be in your face so much. It's like a chill way of, vibing and having fun and dancing, like in the video. The hardest thing about the track, I think it was the first time that I ever wrote something that was a little naughtier and a little more playful and sexy. That was the I think that was maybe the biggest challenge of it, being like, "Can I really say this?" And then being like, "Oh yeah, I can." And just owning it. So it wasn't too hard. It felt like an effortless song. And I'm always glad when those songs come and it's just kind of magical. And it was so fun adding the Spanish, maybe like also trying to make sure that I was saying the Spanish the way that I wanted it to sound. I speak in Spanglish, just like the song is Spanglish. So my Spanish isn't always perfect. But I had my mom check. I'm like, "Mom, how does this sound? Does this sound okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, that sounds good." I'm like, "Okay, sweet." She was, and then she's like, "Let me ask my dad to make sure," because he's like, he speaks very, very proper Spanish, and he only speaks Spanish. And she'd be like, "Yeah, it all sounds good." And yeah, that was the biggest challenge. But really, luckily pretty effortless.
First of all, David, congratulations on your latest single, Creme. So with Creme, many listeners have observed that how you have embraced your queerness and with the single. So can you just take us to the process of accepting your queerness and leaving it with your music?
Thank you so much, first off. And my queerness, I think just by exploring my queerness in life and accepting it, embracing it, it naturally comes into the music. I'm in a more playful time of my life, so thus the more playful song and the flirtier, flirtier side, being a little flirtier now. It's fun. It's very fun. I was always so shy before. I was always like, "Oh no," like, and now it's just kind of like, you know what? Just screw it. I'm just here to have a good time and life to be enjoyed. And if I make mistakes, I'll learn from the mistakes, and so be it. But you fall, you get up, and you become older and wiser. And um, since I don't have that fear anymore, I'm able to just be more playful with life and my music, and it's been so fun. I've been dancing more in my shows, which has just made it a great time. Time of my career, I feel.
Yeah, a lot of people. With my second question is, why is it important that LGBT artists are embracing their queerness and their craft, and how can we expect it in your upcoming EP?
Um, Gosh, well, I think a lot of times we feel like we have to hide who we are in order to be accepted by more people. And it still happens. There are still a lot of people who are performers in all genres of music who feel like they have to hide who they are attracted to, who they love, who they are in relationships with, who their songs are about, because of so much prejudice that is still there. So I think that's where it's important to show the representation and to show that, hey, there may be some pushback from some people, but there are people out there who will love and accept and also learn to love you and learn to accept you by you showing who you are. So I, I can't hide who I am because I came out officially, publicly. And so I feel like I could have, there was a time where I was like, oh, I want to love who I love without having to show that publicly. But I also realized even when I was keeping that to myself, people were still judging me. People were still making assumptions of me. And so I was just like, y'all are going to hate no matter what. Y'all are going to be judging even when I keep that part to myself. So I'm just going to show it off anyway because you were judging me for what I kept to myself because you were imagining what I was to be worse than what I was. So I have to show you who I really am and not hold back. And if I get hate, okay, I'm already used to that because y'all already giving it to me and or judgments. And in the end, I feel like that's the best way to turn foes into friends.
Thank you so much, David, for representing the community, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Josiah. It has,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been able to show the part of me that I was always ashamed of. And I used to write
Mm-hmm.
about being ashamed. I just never said what I was ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the anxiety, the stress, the looking at myself in a very low way, I would write about all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Some of my music, spiritual music was about the struggle I felt asking God to help me overcome
Mm-hmm.
my problem that I thought I had.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because a lot of people would relate to it in different ways, but they didn't know
Mm-hmm.
that I was talking about my sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept praying and having faith that I would be healed. And then I think it kind of just had this closing healing, like, okay, it's time to close the door of feeling ashamed and feeling
Mm-hmm.
sorry for who I am
Mm-hmm.
just because of how I feel
Mm-hmm.
and who I have feelings for, that I have feelings for guys.
Mm-hmm.
When I wrote my song Held Together and released it last year, it was kind of my way of saying, I am afraid of moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting go of these things that were so meaningful to me all my life, but I
Mm-hmm.
know I need to do it and it's time to move on. So um, that was healing for me. And now I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I want to continue just instead of like, oh, I feel so bad and I need to repent and I need to be healed. It's like, you know what? I feel healed. And the way of feeling healed was not in the way I expected it because I thought I needed to get rid of me.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I just had to accept and love me. And that was how the healing happened. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, yeah, it's very interesting to look back on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for
To members of our
yeah.
community, we grew up in the church. Like I don't practice it anymore, but I still
Mm-hmm.
have fond memories.
Mm-hmm.
I still have my friends that are still go
Mm-hmm.
there, but there's a lot more understanding than even in the last few years. People have grown a lot more understanding. There have
Mm-hmm.
been people like someone who influenced me a lot. His name was Charlie Bird, and he
Mm-hmm.
was the BYU mascot who went viral dancing.
Mm-hmm.
He released a book called Without the Mask,
Mm-hmm.
and it was about him saying I'm gay and I'm a Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time that I saw someone not apologizing or feeling sorry for being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And being Mormon, a lot of Mormons were like, don't say gay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gay unless you act on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie taught me, he's like, I identify as gay and here's why. He's like, gay for me is not just sexual. It's not just who I'm attracted to. Yes, I'm attracted to men. He's like, but there's so much more in my gay identity that I feel God made me the way I am. He made me gay because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of beauty. He's like, I love to dance. I have an eye for design. I
Mm-hmm.
feel a lot of empathy and can really relate to my friends that are girls.
Mm-hmm.
I I love fashion. I love, he's like all of these things I feel come with the way I was made as a gay man.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I was like, oh, so it's not everything about being gay is means you're evil. And that was the first time I was able
Mm-hmm.
to look at the whole gay community and say, maybe, oh, like, so that was just in like 2020, I think, that the first time I saw it as not a bad thing. which allowed me to come out in 2021 eventually. And I feel like we've made progress, and I would hope that people can look at themselves, if they still choose to go to church, that they can look at themselves the way Charlie does. Because Charlie, I don't know what he's up to at this very moment, but he eventually got married to his husband, and they were still going to church together. And they're like,
Wow.
you know what? We're here to make people. His congregation accepted him. Not every congregation does,
Mhm.
but there's conversation that is beginning. And I don't know. I don't know what, but just because you are gay or bisexual or trans or a queer in any way and want to,
Mhm.
you know, you are a beautiful person, and I hope you can see yourself that you were created divinely and beautifully, and you are here as you should be. So a lot of us grew up being told something else, and I
Yes.
think the
Mhm.
narrative is changing as it should. It needs to
Yes.
change, because when I came out, God said, why are you asking me to change you?
Yes.
You're supposed to be as you are. And I don't really have any religious belief anymore. I've kind of considered
Mm.
myself agnostic, but I will remember that the feeling I always knew as God, and the feeling I felt when I was praying, asking God to change me, and that feeling that I knew as God saying, stop asking me this. You are as you're supposed to be, and I need you to see you the way I see you. And so that's what I've been doing. I'm just living my life. I'm like, okay, it's
Mhm.
this idea of God was not as judgmental as I was always taught it was. So I feel guilty. Like when I had my first cup of coffee, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? When I had my first drink of alcohol, I was like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, I was like, ooh, it feels kind of nice to be rebellious. I've been obedient all my life. And where did that get me? It got me to still being judged and told I wasn't good enough. When God was literally saying, you are good enough, stop listening to everybody else because they don't know me as well as they think they do. So I'm like, why the hell am I doing all this? Trying to be the good boy, trying to do everything perfectly. And I'm always going to feel like I fall short and I'm never going to be good enough. And as soon as I stopped caring about that and doing things, I was like, oh, I'm not really supposed to be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still happy. I'm still growing. And I'm feeling more love for myself because I don't hate myself just because I mess up on one thing. Like, it's part of the process of being a human being and living life is to learn and to grow, to make mistakes. That's how you learn what works good and what doesn't work so well, like is from learning and from your own experience. And to give myself that grace and that chance to just be human has been so amazing. And now it just allows me to be like, you know what, because in faith, a lot of times it's like so close, like you can only live in this amount of life and be okay with yourself. If you step out of here, you're bad, you messed up, you're wrong. And so you're like living in fear all the time, like, oh my gosh, if I mess up one little thing, I'm going to be in trouble and lose my soul or make God mad. And it's like you let yourself go and you step outside of the little box or circle and you're like, oh, okay, like I don't have to live in fear all the time, and I can just experience my life, find joy wherever I may be. And I've loved it. I've loved going and just having fun, writing, being flirty, being comfortable in my skin, um, dating guys, kissing guys. It's just been all. I'm like, at first I felt like I had to work through the shame, but now it's like, oh, that's nice. Very nice. Yeah.
That's
That I've, I had such a clean, squeaky clean image, like not just as a teenager, but all throughout my 20s, even into my 30s, that when I was writing Creme Brulee with some of the other songwriters, one of them being my friend Ryan Nealon, he was like, we can't write this. but you can't say that. You're David Archuleta. And I was like, ta-da, like, yeah, and I'm still David Archuleta and I'm saying these things. I've grown up. So uh he was like, oh, and I was just like, he, like, it's time to have fun. I've been afraid to have fun. And it's like, I may say things a little naughty here and there, but it's okay. I'm 34 years old. Like, I've lived life now, and some of the things I'm letting myself experience things that a lot of my friends experienced when they were teenagers and when they were in their early 20s. And it's I don't know how to explain it. It's just been fun. Like, it feels liberating and freeing, because it's like I'm finally having my time to learn and try new things, and it's been a blast. And I feel like that comes out in Creme Brulee and a lot of my writing. So it's fun to feel a little sexier and sensual, but also still be me. Like, and I'm still learning. There's still a lot of things where it's like my Mormon brain is like, I can't do that. I'm not supposed to say that. Or you should feel ashamed for that, and you just have to work through it anyway. And it's like, oh, like I'm gonna do it anyway, and I know I'm gonna feel bad afterwards, but like, I'm gonna be okay. I'm still gonna be okay. Like, you learn your boundaries. Like, when you come from church, you think if you mess up one thing, your whole life is gonna fall apart. And when you go outside of it and you let yourself just break a rule or mess up, it's like, oh, it's like, have I ruined my life? Am I gonna die? And it's like, no. Like, you wake up and you may feel a little regret, but you still be like, but I learned. I know, like, I have enough information and knowledge and wisdom that I can figure out what works for me and what doesn't, and go from there and push boundaries. But it's like, it's I like to push boundaries now. I feel like I need to do that.